In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to hand sew a whip stitch. A whip stitch is a basic hand hemming stitch often used to hem garments. It is a simple looping sewing stitch passing over an edge diagonally. In order to hand sew a whip stitch, you'll need a few materials: scissors, a marking pencil, a needle threader. You'll need thread, needles, a measuring tape, pins, and a pin cushion. You will also need an iron for pressing and a 10 by 18 piece of muslin cloth. You're going to begin by turning your 10 by 18 piece of muslin cloth lengthwise, and you're going to mark the wrong side of your muslin wrong side. It does not matter which side that you choose to mark wrong side, because the muslin is one of those fabrics that are pretty much the same front to back. After you mark wrong side, you will continue to do all of your markings on this side. The first marking that we are going to make is a 1/2 inch marking along the edge of our muslin. This 1/2 inch marking is going to be the mark for our 1/4 inch fold. So what we're going to do is line up the 1/2 inch along the cut edge of our muslin, and we're going to mark all the way down. Now that I've finished marking my 1/2 inch marking across the edge of the muslin, I'm going to mark a 2.5 inch marking. This will be the marking that we'll use for our 1 inch fold. So I will take my measuring tape, I will line it up with the 2.5 inch mark, and then mark the tip. And I'll do this all the way down and complete this side of the muslin. So our next step is to fold our muslin up to the 1/2 inch marking, and this will create a 1/4 of an inch fold. As I fold it, I will finger press it down, and then I'll press over it with an iron. Now I'm going to fold the muslin up to the 2.5 inch marking that we made, and this will create a 1 inch fold. I will finger press this as well. And then I'll press it with an iron. Now that we've finished pressing, it's time to pin. And we'll pin our muslin horizontally down the length of the cloth. I will begin sewing my whip stitch using a single strand method. That means I'm only knotting one end of my thread, and that's the longer end. The shorter end I will maintain midway through at the midpoint between my needle and my knot. Of course, adjusting the short strand as I go. Now we're ready to begin sewing our whip stitch. To start, we want to hide our knot within the fold. So we're going to enter right here at the fold and our knot is now hidden. And to sew our whip stitch, we're going to capture just a very small thread of the muslin cloth along with entering into the fold. Again, we'll capture a very small thread of the muslin and then enter into the fold, and it's going to create a wrap stitch, the whip stitch. Notice that I'm entering the fabric at an angle, and I will be removing the pins as I go. I'll keep hand sewing the whip stitch along the edge of the fabric until I complete the row. And I'll stop. Okay, so I'm continuing the whip stitch, and I'm making sure that my stitches are approximately 1/4 of an inch apart. Now, once you feel comfortable sewing your whip stitch, you can sew more than one stitch in a row, and I'll demonstrate that. To sew more than one in a row, I'll do 3. You'll take up a piece of the muslin and go into the fold of the hem once, coming along about 1/4 of an inch. Do the same thing, a piece of the muslin and into the hem twice, a piece of the muslin and into the hem 3 times, and then pull, and you've sewn 3 whip stitches in a row. From the muslin into the cloth, 1, small piece of the muslin into the fold, 2, one more time, 3, and then pull. I'll keep working the whip stitch all the way to the end. Now that I'm approaching the end of my row, I'm about ready to finish off the stitch. So I'm going to complete my last whip stitch. Coming just behind the fold. And then I'm going to do a back stitch, just a very small back stitch at the edge here. And before I pull the loop completely, I'll insert my needle and pull through. And one more time. And I'll clip the knot right at the edge. Now I've completed my whip stitch. You see on the wrong side, you see the diagonal threads. And if I turn it on the right side, you see that it's a virtually invisible stitch. Even using a contrasting thread, it's hard to see the stitches. I'll repeat this entire process on the other side, creating 2 hems, and then you're done. The final piece of muslin should look like this, where you have 2 hems. On the wrong side, you can see the whip stitch clearly, and then on the right side of the fabric, where there is no marking, you can see the hem in place with the invisible stitch. That's how to hand sew